Have you ever looked at a world map and wondered, why are countries shaped the way they are? Political geography is all about how humans organize and divide up Earth's surface, and at the center of this is the idea of borders and boundaries. A border is more than just a line on a map. It's what separates one political territory from another. Sometimes borders follow natural features like rivers or mountain ranges. Other times they're just straight, human-made lines drawn with a ruler and a pen, often with little care for what's actually on the ground. Every country you see, whether it's the United States, China, or Brazil, exists because people got together and created borders to define it. Think about the US. There's a border with Canada up north, and another with Mexico to the south. These lines decide where one country's laws stop and another's begin. But not every border is created equal. Let's break down a few types you'll see around the world. First, up natural borders. These follow physical features of the land, like the Rio Grande River that forms part of the US-Mexico border, or the Pyrenees Mountains between France and Spain. These features are natural barriers, harder to cross, so it makes sense people use them to divide territory. Then there are geometric borders, straight lines, often following latitude or longitude. The US-Canada border, for example, runs along the 49th parallel for a huge stretch. These lines were usually drawn by colonial powers with little thought to the people or geography on the ground. You'll also find cultural borders, boundaries that separate groups based on language, religion, or other cultural traits. Belgium, for example, has internal borders between Dutch-speaking and French-speaking regions. And then, of course, there are fortified borders. Think fences, guard posts, and surveillance, like the heavily fortified line between North and South Korea. So, what do borders actually do? A lot. First, they define legal jurisdiction. Cross a border, and suddenly you're under a whole new set of laws. They also regulate economies. Countries decide what imports or exports can cross their borders, and that's why you see customs officials checking goods at airports. Borders are key for security too. Most countries want to know who's coming in and going out, which is why you have to show a passport when you travel internationally. And borders help shape identity. People often feel a strong sense of us and them based on the country they live in. But borders can also cause problems. Disputes happen when countries disagree about where borders should be, like China and India in the Himalayas. Sometimes it's about resources, like oil in the South China Sea, or strategic locations like who controls the Strait of Gibraltar. And when people of the same culture are split by borders, tensions can rise, as we've seen in Europe and Asia. Still, borders aren't always barriers. Sometimes countries work together, like the European Union, where people and goods move freely, or the US and Canada sharing the Great Lakes. So, next time you see news about international conflict or cooperation, think about the borders at the heart of the story. Understanding how we draw these lines helps make sense of the world, and as our planet becomes more connected, how we manage borders matters more than ever.